No lube. Just pound it in there, no lube. Oh my god. Holy shit. Okay. Tell me the story. Tell me more. Come on. I need to hear this. Oh my god. Wow, Hillary. Oh my god, I'm too high right now. I can't do it.
Okay, so the only other part about it that's fucked up.
Wait, no, I haven't finished hearing about the screws that don't fit or whatever.
No, that's it. I just drilled the holes out bigger and I tried to tap it and I couldn't get it. And just got it to like fucking, like you wrench it down and fucking doesn't come out. So good.
Nicholas 59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, we've got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, America. Another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this
Oh my
is your
god.
song.
Yeah, the fucking bolt handle. Like,
And this is how you get
it
a
comes with like the bent bolt handle thing. Where
group
you
of
can,
people
like,
in your
saw
chat
off your bolt handles, which you have to do,
without
right?
having to
Saw
send
off
out any
your bolt handle to a
invites.
certain
You
length,
just wait for
and then
somebody's
the stuff
off
just
air
fucking sticks
to
over it.
last long
And then
enough
you
to
gotta,
go
like,
into your
fucking
show.
Pick a spot and drill into your bolt handle thing.
Yes.
It's
It's that ATI fucking kit, which is a piece of shit kit.
and then fucking then you have your shit, right? Then that's where your screw goes. Well, again, fucking awesome at threading.
So they're having,
So
these
that
guys are
thing,
talking about having
I never got.
adventures with a Mosin. Anyway, so Matt Never Enough Ammo had a chat earlier today. And the off air continued on, and they started talking about horror stories of gunsmithing, and then Honda won that one. So I don't think they figured out I was live, even though they heard all the song going and stuff. So I just muted them and let them go. They're still chatting. They've already said, okay, well, I'll see everybody tomorrow, like 4 times. Usually it's not this late. Usually they end their off air, I don't know, a little bit after their show. So most people have shows, or most people that have shows will do an off air. We'll have a conversation that continues past the live show off air once the live part ends, and then it'll just continue. And back in the olden days, depending on what show you're talking about, there were live shows that happened at prime time on YouTube, starting whenever the live stuff first happened. I'd say originally we just started having live shows and inviting people into our shows, and certain people just had better shows than others. And those people just started having their shows on a particular day. And then there was some gaps and people filled it in and then kind of settled. And then there was this schedule. And everybody was either interested or not, and new people would throw their hat in the ring, and it was all right. And then I don't think we really based it on any particular time zone. It was sort of, maybe the anchors here or there. Somebody was very interesting and their schedule was a certain way, so their show kind of became an anchor, and somebody would, depending on what time that show was, somebody might do a pre-show or somebody might do a after show. And that sort of determined how the off airs would go. So if you were one of the beginning shows of the evening, you probably didn't have a big ass off air because most of the people would jump either to the audience or be part of the panel of the next live show. So there'd be some people that jumped live show to live show, and then there'd be some people that jumped audience or whatever, and then there'd be people that were only there for whatever reason for certain shows or whatever. So those off airs were depending on what was after. So anyway, the off airs really became an interesting phenomenon. And then you'd have situations where, a panel or an on-air panel might be a bunch of regulars, and let's say it's a regular panel, YouTube could hold 10 people. Let's say it was a regular panel of 6 to 8. So that was about typical. And let's say 3 or 4 of them were friends, and another 3 or 4 of them were friends, and then maybe another 3 or 4 overlapped or something. And for whatever reason, this group would stick around for the after show. Well, the other three would go on to the next live show, or maybe these three split off and went somewhere else or something like that. So there would be these, smaller after chats. I suppose you can't, there's no way to know how many of those kind of things might have happened. But certainly the evening shows, the last shows of the night, they would have some of the most epic after chats ever. And of course, no one's doing anything to impress anybody, or nothing's going on the record, because the chats, once it's an after chat, it's not being broadcast anymore. It's also not being recorded anymore. And yeah, they had some pretty fun conversations like that. So I don't know what the hell they're doing now. I think they're trying to show Honda some part. I think it might be a part or a tool. But anyway, so that was a bit of their after chat. They're still over there bullshitting. With that, we'll turn back over to this show. And this is the Daily Gun Show. It's kind of a sloppy beginning there, but I didn't send out any invites today. We'll see if anybody wants to jump in or not. But we'll basically just introduce the week. It's Monday, and it's the last week. Let me double check. It might be the last week of February. It is. So a couple of things going on. We've got the Clash Patch Batch still going, and we got 2 more weeks of that, so we'll be kicking into that. I'll be grabbing a link as I try to type and talk here at the same time. So this is another big project, $10,000 project, fairly big, to get 10 patches made. So it's a whole bunch of patches and then a whole bunch of shipping. So the idea is to get a bunch of patches made, do some collaborations, which I'm still working on. That's always fun. And then sometimes that's easier and sometimes that's harder. And get some collaborations. Basically, I want to promote a couple of the big shoots, some of the big events that happen. Am I pushing the right link? I think I am. I'd like to promote some of the big events that are happening. They happen to be Kalashnikov focused, which is cool because I like Kalashnikovs and everything. It's kind of weird Kalashnikovs compared to what I like. I like classic stuff, and they're more, this modern stuff. But that's cool. It's the Kalashnikov platform. But it's the events that I'm really digging. They're not just competitive kind of competition shoots. They're not gun shows for sure. They're not just get-togethers, and they're not meet and greets or whatever that's called. Not really meet and greets, but what do they call it when exposition? I don't know what they call it. Like whatever you call media day when it's not media day, when it's just a gun shop does a day at the range or whatever. Sometimes they'll have, I can't think of the word, when you just bring manufacturers out for maybe like what that Pennsylvania thing was. Those things are neat and everything. But if you're just looking at stuff and you can't buy it, it's not like a gun show, then that's only so interesting. And it's certainly only so interesting if you can't shoot. But if you take something like what happened in Pennsylvania or something like the media day, and you have that at the range, well, then you can pull triggers on it. Well, that brings a whole nother level to it, because now you can compare and you can check things out and you can see if you're going to like them or not, and you can verify that 9mm is inadequate. But then if you can purchase right then, if it's also like a gun show and you can make it purchase, then that's awesome. I mean, that just takes it to another level. That's evolving gun shows. That's evolving events. That's doing a lot. And I see the one in Vegas is definitely to that level. And more. They've actually done even more than that. And the one in Texas, I got the impression it was working towards that, or at least it was open to it. And it was just a factor of size and resources. So anyway, I know of those 2 events, and let's see if get the cart before the horse. But let's get the project funded first. But I'd like to potentially use the project, the Clash Patch Batch, to promote, let people know about those 2 events. And then also get them some patches, sort of like what we did with the 2A patch batch last year, to get patches into the hands of the organizations so that they can use them for fundraising and whatever. So I don't think either one of them would be like unfamiliar with patches, but I don't think either one of I know either one of them neither one of them had them last year. I don't think so. It would be a new resource that they'd stretch goal. Um, Basically, the patch batch is a different. It's doing the one from last year backwards. Last year it was an incremental. Each patch built to the full project, and it just never got all the way through with the Clash one. So this year it's just the whole project straight out. So it's going to require like 100 people to be involved in it, and when that happens, the patches will get not only created and sent out to everybody, but then, like I say, if we can put a couple of stretch goals on there and get more than 100 people in there, then we could potentially get a bunch of patches out to those groups, which would be kind of a cool stretch goal. All right, so like I said, that's got 13 days left, so just over 2 weeks. I think it ends on Sunday night, a couple weeks from now, and stay tuned for more, like I say, collaborations with that. We're going to try to use some of the designs and things to work with some of the people that create those events that we're talking about. Beyond that, we can jump over to the calendar. And that's at guncalendars.com. And did I open up the right one? I did. I guess I could be screen sharing this because I am just talking about stuff that's on the screen here. HBS is talking about off air, and you had a show, so you know what I'm talking about probably more than anybody as a host, because it was definitely a phenomenon. And then, it allowed you to take things off. Let's hold that until off air, or continue that off air, or whatever, right? And no, I don't think they do. I don't think they still know. Let's go and see what they're talking about.
All the parts, only thing you have to really drill out is going to be the baffles.
I don't know how much you've worked with titanium, and I would assume whoever you're working with knows how to do it.
They're talking about butts. So we'll dig into guncalendars.com. It's a place where we keep track of, the history, what's going on in the world. So this week we got a couple of things going on. I don't like this calendar because it starts on Monday, and that creeps me out, but whatever. Starts on today, which was James Lee Paris. And we mentioned these kind of all on Friday, but I'm going to go through them again. Paris was, or the Lee part is the important there. That's an important part of his name. He's the Lee Enfield. And I guess he was important because of the magazine. Then you got Samuel Colt inventing the first revolving firearm, his first revolving firearm tomorrow. He did not necessarily create the first revolver, right? There was already black powder revolvers, but they didn't lock into place, and that was their problem, and that's why they weren't really popular or useful. He was told by his dad when he was a kid that you're going to go get a better job and shape up, because he was kind of a flake, I guess, or didn't have good direction or wasn't successful in any one thing. So his dad sent him away on a boat, and while on that boat, he saw that they used some kind of ratcheting system to keep the boat steering wheel from clicking around, and decided to apply that to a revolver, whittled a bunch of designs, patented it, made some money doing that. Didn't succeed, did some other stuff. Somebody saw his invention, he tweaked it, he did succeed, died, and then his company went massive. So kind of a cool thing, and he started that whole thing tomorrow. Well, a big chunk of that at least tomorrow, back in whatever day that was. Did I get it by just hovering? I guess I do. 19? No, I can't. Right, 18? It's way too little. Let's make it way bigger. So I hold down the control key on the keyboard and wiggle the scroll, and then that gives you, what was I hovering over? What the hell I was hovering over before? What was I hovering over? Anyways, so if you scroll, I was just hovering over the name before. If you hold down the control key and then wiggle the scroll wheel, it'll zoom in. So if we do that now, we can see that it's 1836. I guess one scroll out, 1836, and now I can get it to pop up without being on this screen. And then we can also see that it's Frank Flamingo. I don't know how to say his name. Born tomorrow. I think we just found out when Matt's birthday is too, but it ain't for a while, so I'll put that in the future. Let's see, we got Gatling dying this week. We got Derringer dying this week. And that's it. But then you got Buffalo Bill Cody being born this week, so you got a birthday. And Fairbairn, I guess you learn how to say that guy's name. The Sykes Fairbairn Derringer, OSS and whatnot. He's born this week. And then you got Waco starting this week. You got the hell is it? The Brady Bill or some shit starts this week. The Brady Bill. Luger, stupid gun, is invented this week, I guess, later on in the week. And then Yellowstone, First National Park. So I'm looking for something on the 29th. If anybody knows anything cool happen on the 29th, but that's basically leap year, right? So not too much shit happens. Is anybody born on leap year? Let's see if anybody's out here chatting. Anybody born on leap year? It's like 4 years old or 6 years old. That'd be kind of cool. We are not doing a live stream on how to blow up gas stations. What? I don't know what you're talking about there for sure. All right. So then that's next week, but then we got March coming up. Anything coming up in March? It looks like Luger. Look, there can't. Luger's March. March is Luger month. 308 though. So we had 223 just the other day. We got 308 coming up. That's the only good ammo dates in the year. Then we've got the Navy's birthday, or the Navy Reserve's birthday is coming up. Same day as the anniversary of the national anthem. Thompson is patented. Khalil passes away. Got the ATF M855. Remember that one in 2015? How they were trying to ban the green tip 223 or the M855, and there was a part of the definitions that specifically allow 556 to be created outside of the United States. And I suspect that's strategically so that we have ammo out there that isn't, so it's not all here. So we have other places to get ammo from if we need it ever. And they were going to attack that as if it's some sort of loophole. And they put up a question period for that. And that one was not as grassroots as 2013. I remember when it happened in 15, it sort of just happened, but before anyone really had a chance to get offended and then champion the concept and come up with a call to action, it was picked up by some of the large, like Rush Limbaugh types, and all these different talking heads on the conservative big media, and it's got squashed quickly. And that was, I think, an example of, at least that inspired me to appreciate grassroots, because grassroots was able to spread the word, which was picked up by the conservative traditional and followed through on. And there was nothing specific about that one that was created or that someone's instigated it. So there was nothing that could be replicated, unfortunately. So I saw that happen. And then I went to the Gun Rights Policy Conference later in the year and became really inspired. But those, I think the reason I put this one into the calendars, I think this is, for me, one of the things that got me to suspect that grassroots advocacy is an avenue, a potential that we have, a asset that we have, a resource that's untapped that can be fostered or can be nurtured, or at least can be focused and in whatever the words are. Because while it wouldn't be, if it was engineered, it wouldn't be grassroots. At the same time, knowing that grassroots is possible, getting the stage set for it and allowing it to be easier, is that the word? Like facilitating it is definitely doable. You know that you're going to need people to be able to be useful, as Minutemen. So create the resources and have them available, right? And when I went to the gun rights policy conference after seeing this one in 15, you know, it was it was uh, it was interesting. And anyway, this isn't therapy, so we'll keep going. Then we'll get to Sharps is going to die next month. We got the Canine Veterans Day coming up. I just saw a statue in Phoenix for a canine military thing, and I'm wondering if it has anything to do with this Canine Day or if the Arizona just came up with their own. Got some import bans to come up with that in March. Sorry about that. In March, we got the semi-automatic rifle import ban that Bush came up with in '89. Interesting one. Bill Bennett, the guy who came up with the drug war, or at least the current war on drugs, under what's his face, Reagan, who was now working for his vice president Bush, and when he was president, and signed into effect the semi-automatic rifle import ban based on Clinton's urging, if I remember correctly, and that was all a result of the drug pushers, whatever they call them, drug dealers, having too many assault rifles. So what the fuck? So turns out that Clinton was importing a shit ton of AKs or something, or somebody Clinton was aware of was importing a bunch of AKs, and then when they were questioned, they turned around and did this. I don't know. There's something screwy there, and that's one that I wish some people would do more scrutiny on. The semi-automatic rifle import ban at '89 coming up on March 15th. Right now, we're looking at guncalendars.com, and we're looking at March, just kind of previewing what's coming up next month. Mainly because I need to figure out. You can see there's a whole bunch of missing stuff in here. What happens is it's just me, right? It's just me. So every once in a while, I got to go in here to the back end of this thing and take stuff from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and pull it forward and pull it up to this year, push it forward to next year, maybe the year ahead, right? And then I do that with a bunch of stuff. And then I'll sit down for a day, and it'll take a day or so, and I'll record all these videos. But then 2 years from now, this will be empty again, and I'll have to go through and turn on all these ones that were empty, that I only pushed for 2 years, and push them another 2 years ahead. So we're looking at a project that I started so many years ago that whenever I posted something on March 20th, it is now 3 years later, and I have to go in there and find whatever it was and pull it back up and push it through the years. So this website's been up, and this project's been ongoing for so long that it's further than I pushed stuff when I originally created it. So I'm having to look at these months, and there's a lot of them as you go through. They look like they get pretty sparse, and that's because we're far ahead, or we're further ahead in years than I ever anticipated when I built the thing, because these months won't be empty by the time I get there. So anyway, we're going back to February, and we'll flip up to March. That's the fastest way to get there. We'll have Medal of Honor Day. Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death, that poem. Anniversary of that. Arizona's second, let's see. Well, we were the second state to legalize suppressors for hunting. I don't like how they say that. I think what they actually did is just erase. I think they just removed prohibitions on suppressors. They didn't really legalize anything as much as take away infringements. We should probably word it that way, just to encourage people that you don't have to gain something. You don't get the right. They just stop prohibiting our right. And then we got Vietnam Veterans Day. So the end of Vietnam. All right, so that's next month. And let's see if anybody's saying anything. When a Sharps rifle would be easier on budget for a replica? Well, definitely for sure getting a replica. Plus, I don't know if you'd want to shoot a real one anymore. They're kind of a big rifle for being as old as they are. Be kind of suck to pay a lot of money for a rifle and then break it. But are Sharps the one that can possibly get ammo for? No, I'm thinking of something else. I think I'm thinking of a different one. I remember a guy came to an auction one time with one that he thought he got a great deal on, and then everybody was like, "Hey, you got a great deal. You ever seen ammo for one?" He's like, "No, how much is it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. There's no ammo for this. No one's ever made ammo." It was back with the ammo had to be kind of handmade. Let's see what this says. Last week, hiker found 2 aerial bombs from 1935 on Mauna Loa volcano when U.S. Army tried bombing the volcano to divert lava flow. Well, that's what they'd like you to think. A lot of times, what you don't know is that bad guys will create fortresses or strongholds inside of volcanoes. And when they were acting like they were diverting lava or whatever they said, it was probably taking care of that guy. It's probably some kind of evil genius in there. And it did work. You say it didn't work, but maybe it did work because Hawaii is still free and it's not owned by an evil genius. So you're welcome. Let's see. You can definitely buy Volcano for Bitcoin. Oh, it said stupid gun regards to Luger. Were you just kidding? You're not a fan. I don't like that gun. So I don't get paid to like guns or whatever, I don't think. Especially not weird ones that open weird. So I've just never been a fan of that gun. It's German though. It's designed to be all extra pieces. But I don't like the 9 either. It's a compromise. It's the compromise round. I've seen a Sharps that came through the shop one time, and Bob kept it for a while. I think he was hoping to get a buffalo tag, or maybe he did get a buffalo tag. You only get like 1 buffalo tag a year in Arizona. So did he get a buffalo tag? I'm trying to remember now. Somebody he knew got one, but anyway, they got a Sharps. I don't think it was just a replica, but I don't remember. It was expensive, even as a replica for sure. But it was super expensive. It was like $1,200 or more. Maybe more than that. Anyway, it was a 75 120. It was huge. It was like a Sharpie marker, just a super long round, and looked cool. The belt looked obnoxious because it was so wide to hold them things, but big, heavy gun. I don't even know if I'd want to shoot it. I'd like to shoot it with like some really powdered, really weakened load, just because I don't really feel like taking that abuse, but guess it'd be kind of neat to shoot. I got my thrill of shooting all them, or lost any thrill of shooting them things when I was a little kid. There are pictures of bombs in the story. I don't think he'll let me copy. Let me see if I can. Sorry to keep yawning. I was listening to somebody. Was it midnight yawning the other night? And you got to listen to somebody yawn. You start yawning yourself. So that's not my goal. So let's play Midnight for that. I was listening to his chat, and it's still that boring. I'm still yawning. I mean, they're interesting. You're talking about that toggle lock or whatever. They're neat, but I'm not saying they're not neat, but trying to get my mouse to click on this, which you can't even see because I'm doing it off screen, I guess, but I'm going to have to just take that much instead. I guess I can drop it over here. Got most of it. Bombs from 1935. Oh yeah, look at that. They did find a bunch of bombs. Probably coming out of these airplanes right here that were dropping them. Nothing about now though. So fake news, maybe. This here, maybe. So it's interesting. Trying to bomb the ground. I guess if you got nothing else to do and you got a bunch of bombs, I'm sure those bombs go bad, right? When their expiration date is getting bad, you got to do something with them. So wing them at the ground. Try to knock on a volcano path or a lava path. All right, so I just started the show. Those guys are all out of their chat. I have 1 slurp of water here to drink. But does stuff rust? It must rust in Hawaii, right? You got salt water, so everything rusts there. Like something from the olden days doesn't just live. Like out here, stuff from the olden days takes a long, long time to disappear. You can just go walk around. I guess I shouldn't say that. Back when I first moved out here, you could just go walk around in the desert and find remnants of all kinds of neat stuff from back in the really old days. Really, really old days. So, it just takes it don't rain enough and there's no salt or anything. There's just not a lot of, I shouldn't say never. There's most of the places, there's not a lot of corrosive stuff. So stuff lasts. Oh, did it again. But in Hawaii, I'm guessing with all the salt water, things rust. Dinosaurs going extinct because of volcanoes. I guess it's possible. If that big ass meteor or something knocked a bunch of volcanoes loose. I don't know if that happened or if that was the same thing, or I don't know. Depends on when you were a kid. Maybe they came up with the meteor thing after. But I think because of the layer of soot that's pretty consistent around the whole planet, they figure something happened that was catastrophic at that era, right? Blanketed the whole country, the whole world with soot, just like how in Matrix it happens in the future. All right, well, I got to get something to drink, so I'm not going to leave it. I guess I can leave it on elevator music. I got some elevator music over here. I'll see if anybody drops anything to chat about. Otherwise, I think we'll double check a couple of things and then maybe get to be wrapping it up. It's already 30 minutes in somehow because I worked off of Matt's after chat. This thing's called The Boy Got Skills. Oh, I'm pretty sure I hate this one, so I'm going to turn that one off even before I start. And this one is called Let Me See About It. Oh, I turned the volume down. No wonder I can't hear it. Are you serious? That's shitty. All right, so we're going to say sense of humor. What the hell is this? This is the shittiest song ever. A metronome for assholes. All right, this one's a metronome that's much faster. All right. You're referring to the underwater impact crater in Gulf of Mexico that killed the dinosaurs? Yeah, I don't know if it was underwater. Was it underwater? Or did it create the big asshole in the area? We don't know. You ever watch my show? I don't know. Will a 6'5" Creedmoor do away with the older 260 Remington and 6'5" Swede if it has not already done so? I don't care. I don't even know what the hell. I barely realize those are two calibers. So I'm definitely not the person to ask about that one. I mean, I'm guessing, are those even... I don't even can't even imagine what a 6'5" Swede is, so no idea. Underwater. Dolphins shouldn't be swimming around down there. Is it possible that some meteor was really just a rock winged by aliens at some kind of dolphins? Some kind of activity was happening in the Gulf. They needed to be ended. Let's see. I got a bunch of auctions going on eBay. Let's go take a look at those. Let's see. Offer retracted. So somebody offered me. I never had that happen before. So how do I show my stuff that I'm selling, but not show you all my behind the scenes stuff? I gotta figure out how to do this. I just need to go to like one of mine, I think, and then go to my others without going into the back way. So I have a bunch of auctions up there, and some dude, I'm assuming. All right, so here's the deal, right? Gear websites. Is my volume working all right today? You're gonna keep yawning. I'm playing that on midnight. So I got these things going, and somebody offered me like an offer on one of them. I have them all going for $10, and somebody offered me 15, which is more than I am asking for. But I'm skeptical. This is a 7-day thing. Why are you giving me $15 the first day? Right? Like, how much are these things even worth? So I didn't answer right away, and he rescinded the offer. So, okay, thanks for the feedback. I think it's some kind of scam. I think those magazines might be worth a lot of money, and he was trying to get them off me for $15. So hopefully these things will sell. Let's see. Aliens were fishing from outer space, diverting asteroids into the Gulf, got carried away, almost destroyed the planet. See? Well, did they? Sort of like dropping dynamite. They were probably fishing. They suck at it. And then, goof around. They got beer, whatever, drinking. And then, threw an asteroid in there instead of dropping a stick of dynamite. Killed every dinosaur, killed every fish on the planet. But, it was super effective fishing. But you had to wait a couple of million years before they could fish again. Oh, the Bermuda Triangle pulled a meteor in. Yeah, maybe it wasn't a meteor so much as just some flying ship that was going by, got hit by the Bermuda Triangle, and it crashed. Made a big hole like a meteor would. We can't tell. Okay, so now I can dig in, open this thing up all the way. Either I could go up here and click this like a sucker, or I can just hold down the control key and squiggle the scroll wheel. See, I can do that just like with this to the music. This is just like we're in some kind of eBay rave type of thing. All right, so now it's full screen for your pleasure. And now we can go to see other items. And now we can look at all these other cool things. So if anybody's into elk hunting, we got like a couple of issues from 16 and 17 from Elk Hunter magazine. And this one called the Western Hunter. There's 7 issues of that one. This thing called UN 12, which I was just looking at, is some kind of magazine. And that's the premiere issue, first issue, and issue number 2. And that's from 2017. Off Grid. This is the one that somebody tried to buy off of me for $15. So let's see. This is from Recoil, except there's a thing called Off Grid, and I don't remember it. This might be the first 2, because a lot of these are like the first 2 of everything, or the first editions of some of these. Now we're back to hunting magazines. These are 10 issues of Western Hunter. All the rest of these have free shipping, and they're basically, I'm selling them for shipping. But this one is going to take 2 bags to ship you. That's the only one. The reason that this one costs more. All the rest of them are $10 though. So if anybody is looking for some magazines, it's a bunch of magazines out there. That basically my friend was moving and he got all flustered and it was dark, so I stole all these magazines off of him, and now I'm selling them on eBay. But mainly he just didn't want these magazines anymore, so I'm selling them on eBay. And if it works, I'm going to sell some of mine too, because I got a big pile of ones from just been collecting or whatever. So we'll see. They fit into these into these padded bubble envelopes. And depending on the magazine, you can get, I think I got like 7 of these one in there into one envelope. So that's like 7 things. So they cost about $7.50 to ship. I figure I'll throw stuff up there for $10 and see what happens. Why are people watching a buy it now autumn? I figure some people just like to look at stuff. And then maybe like somebody who's maybe selling cards or doing market research, like, are these going to work? I've done that before. If I'm contemplating doing something similar to what somebody's doing, maybe watch if they're selling or something like that. Maybe somebody's trying to rip me off, I guess, maybe seeing if I sell a lot of them. Probably chicks. A lot of chicks that follow me around on the internet. All right. So, well, that was a couple of things to look at tonight. Killed about 40 minutes. And pretty good considering I had like 3 or 4 things to do today and didn't really prepare for this one. Kind of focusing in down on what to do with this, I think, going forward. Let's see. However, if you want a sci-fi horror movie from the 80s, check out Chopping Mall. It's about a killer robot. Is that what you're saying? I don't think I watched that kind of stuff. I had a friend that was really into, back when I was a kid, you didn't have digital effects yet. You barely had a thing called a toaster, which would let you put like words on a screen. You could write titles like on the news or on like TV show or something. You could write stuff on a video screen. But that was about as close to special effects as we got. So there was ways to like fiddle with a toaster to try to create special effects, maybe like a laser or something like that. And I think you could fiddle with some things to try to fiddle with a toaster to get some things from a computer onto a screen. But that's about as close as you could get. So everything was about makeup and doing physical, whatever that's called, like prosthetics and stuff like that. So I had a friend that for some reason really wanted to do that for a living. And I just lost all interest in watching horror or anything like that because I don't know. I just constantly talked about that stuff all the time. So anyway, that movie came out during that time, and I'm sure I probably seen it like 6 times, but I probably wasn't watching it because that's also when we were playing D&D. So that's like the kind of time we'd been playing D&D, and he, if it was his turn to put something on, that's the kind of stuff he would have put on. Might be selling something similar than Gauge What Price. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like another deck of cards, more than likely. Maybe making decks of cards and seeing, because mine are kind of different with a theme, maybe seeing if that theme catches on, if it's worth doing it. Because if you're doing it on China, you could probably do those cards in a lot less quantity than I'm doing them and get them out at the same price. So that probably means they can experiment with stuff, easier than I can with new designs or whatever. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't the Ice Age count as what? Makes one wonder what planet will look like after the next mass extinction event, whatever that'll be. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have another mass extinction event. If anything happened, couldn't we clean it up at this point? We don't have to be at the what's the word? I can't think of the word now. We don't have to be at the whim of nature, though. We can, if nature throws something at us, we can deal with it at this point. I mean, I'm not saying we can't take a lot of damage. Like we could probably, it's like a solar flare or something like that could hurt us, and it could hurt literally the whole planet. But I just don't know. Something would have to really kill the planet to make us all die. We're just kind of stuck in here, I think, at this point. Well, that was a big yawn. You didn't have to hear any of that one. All right. How's the fundraising going for the Clash Patch batch? Well, I was talking about that a little bit earlier. We've got 7 backers. I've got leads out, so I'd really like to. My goal was to get out there and work with a couple of different people in the Clash community. So I've got some leads out to those people who I'd like to work with, and then if I don't hear something back, we got a couple of weeks. I'll reach out to like my second tier, let's say, or the people that would be like the next up in line, and then we'll see what kind of reaction we get once we got some collaborators on board. I also have to start drawing some patches, so this is a neat project and whatever, but it's not a fundraiser. This is barely gonna basically allow us to get the patches made at a price point that's inexpensive, but it doesn't pay for the patches. I'll still have to like figure that out when it comes to it, but it'll get some patches made. That'll be neat. So anyway, this is a neat project, but it's not hardly the way that we make money. So I've got a bunch of targets that I'm selling. So I've been digging those out. And now that that's kind of worked on, I can get back to drawing some more patches for the Clash batch. So this week I'm hoping to draw maybe 2 more patches. Because a couple of them I'll be I've already drawn one off air that, I'll show you the process of drawing it once it's revealed, but that's a private, that's one of the hidden ones. So one of the hidden ones is done and it's already at the patch place. The machete we drew last week. But like I say, I had to do these targets. I've been doing a couple other things, getting ready. So long story short, as we dig into this coming week, we'll be drawing more. And as we figure out some collaborations, that'll allow me to draw some stuff with the collaborations in mind. And then hopefully we'll see a bunch of people jumping on board as we chat more about it. And these things usually, it's tough. You can run them for a long time or a short time. And whichever way you go, they're usually going to get funded right off the beginning because it's a great idea and you've done a lot of prep work and people are chomping at the bit, or they get funded right at the end, because I don't see very many that get funded in the middle and are dead at the front and the bottom. It's usually the other way around. So I'm not too concerned that it hasn't really kicked off yet. This is a decent start for something that had really soft started on a Thursday or something last week, right? 2 weeks ago, a week ago. And I just left it long enough to cover the end of the month. So who knows how many people are going to, are waiting to get to the end of the month to jump in. And it is a big one at $100. So I could see a bunch of people waiting to see if it's going to be successful or not before they even join. But on the other hand, it only needs 100 people to join. So once we've got some collaborators, we could see that go from 7 to 25 to 50 to 100 pretty quick, which I'd like to see. And that's the goal. And then to get it to, I don't know, maybe 1,200, or I forget what it is, 12,000, a couple, you figure $1,000 a patch. So if we get it to 1,200, we might go get some patches for the events that are going on. And that would be kind of cool. See those events grow and give the people who jumped in 12 patches instead of 10. All right, got another one going called So Lit. So that's the update on it. And like I say, I'm just divided. I'm only me. So I've got, spend my time kind of back and forth. Oh, I haven't even been screen sharing this whole time. I thought I was screen sharing. I have to go, divert my attention back and forth. So I can divert my attention back to this a couple of days this week, I hope. Seems to me mankind is better at blowing things up than fixing the planet. I don't think so. It's the other way around. We barely blow stuff up. Fundraiser? Yeah, well, same thing. I mean, it's technically a fundraiser. It raises awareness and raises funds so that we can get something made that's cool. So it's technically a fundraiser. You're not wrong. A lot of times it takes around the game speed, jump, a bunch of people to jump on towards the end date. Yeah, potentially. This is a big one too. Going $100 is not insignificant. And I've done nothing. I did one video so far and then a couple Instagram posts. So like I say, my attention is divided. And once I can get back to focusing on it and then getting some other people to understand what the project is and start promoting it, then hopefully we'll see a bunch more momentum. Oh, what am I doing? All right. Well, with all of that, we're almost up to an hour. It's 50 minutes. What else do we got going on? We had looking through my emails to see if anything's going on there. And now I'm yawning at you again. I didn't want to do that. Can we talk about any other projects that are going on? Nothing important there. Got the eBay stuff. There'll be some more eBay stuff coming up as I dig in. I had to kind of dig in to get to the targets that I'm selling, and then my friend gave me a bunch of stuff when he moved, so I'm gonna sell a bunch of his stuff, and then as I discovered them targets, as I dug to get them targets, I discovered some more stuff. So I'll be selling stuff out of my collection too. So also be paying attention to that, I guess. Anybody say anything else? I think that's it. With that, we'll end it. We'll be posting stuff over on the Patreon to keep people who are back in our projects aware. But we've got pretty good amount of effort worked on the 2A history project over the weekend, and like I say, I'm working on how to update that. So at this point, I'm just blabbing because nobody's saying anything. So we'll wrap it up, and we'll say we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for showing up. Be back to pick you up later.